Did you know Dump City needs likes and subscribes to grow? Hey everyone, Brento here. Welcome back to another episode of Dump City, where we're playing some Path of Exile. Check out Elon the Barbarian here, up to level 40. Has some pretty awesome attacks now. Fireball, perfect for a Marauder. What's new with Elon this week? Well, I got a new item. So here's something I'm going to start doing going forward. Every week when I do this, I'm going to show a new item I got during my leveling process, and it's called the Item of the Week. This week it's called Sunder of Earthbreaking. That's a transfigured gem I just got. So that's pretty cool. You can't buy this, and it's a bit of an RNG if you get it. So that's this week's Item of the Week. So if you're playing a game and leveling up with me, you're probably somewhere around level 30 to 50 right now, I figure, in the series. I don't know if you've done your Labyrinth trial or your ascendancy yet. I just finished my ascendancy yesterday. So I'm now officially, if I go to the passive tree, I'm now a berserker. Okay? So if you haven't done that yet, this is how you do it. You've probably noticed these Labyrinth and these ascendancy trials. Bit of a tip here. If you haven't finished them all to do them in Act 3, you can hover over them. It will show where they are, so long as you've discovered that zone. A few other things about the Labyrinth. Don't die in it. If you die in it, you have to start the whole thing over, and it's very long. So also, don't do it if you have only less than an hour, okay? It's a bit of a commitment. I'd say minimum 1 hour of free time if you want to do the Labyrinth. And when you do it, there is, in addition to gaining your ascendancy, you get a reward usually. But very importantly, have one of each gem color in your inventory before you do it, or at least in your stash, because it's a very long trial, and there's no way for you to actually talk to a vendor while you're in it. So if you don't have these gems, and your reward is to convert a gem, but you have none in your bags, that's going to suck. So be sure to have one gem of each color. Doesn't even have to be for your class or anything. Just has to be that color. So when I got this new spell here on my character here, this Sunder of Earthbreaking, it was just some random, probably a bow gem of some sort, a support gem. I just threw it in there and it became a melee slam transfigured gem. Okay, so be sure to do that. Be sure to have a lot of space when you go into it, in your stash and in your inventory, because it is a long instance. You're going to pick up a lot of things. And yeah, you might even want to bias a little bit towards survival in this because of the traps and stuff. You can't just ignore the maze, okay? It's basically to see if you have the hand-eye coordination to go through a maze. And the bosses are pretty tough, but dying on the way there is also quite common too. So be sure to boost yourself before you go in it and have the gems for sure. Another thing too, I'm left clicking here. You'll see I move around when I left click, but when I hold shift, see what it does? That's the shift attack. So if you're getting a little bit better, you'll start using shift attack with things. This way you're a little bit more efficient with getting hit. You don't always necessarily have to go right up to the boss. See, if I want to range attack with this, I would attack like that. So just keep that in mind. A few other things before we get into the exciting world of crafting here. If you've ever wondered whether a weapon's any better for you, be sure to go onto your character screen and take note of all these tools here. The big one here is defense. Make sure your resistances are as high as they can be. You also want to try to cap them. Here you can see my damage reduction's 84%. If I take off my aura, it goes down to 75%. You'll see my armor basically doubles. The font's really small, but I can see the effect of various gems basically. So if you want to A/B test your defensiveness, your toughness with, like, let's say you have two gems that are very close or two items that are very close, you swap them here. You can see the difference. See, I swap them and it recalculates my toughness on the fly. But more specifically, I like to use it for offense and the specific spell. Be sure to highlight the spell you're interested in. You might not have noticed this before, but you can select spells. I'm not really going to go Fireball all the way to level 95 here, okay? But Maybe you are, okay? This is just an example. So with my new attack here, with the weapon I have, it does 991 DPS. But if I try, I'm like, is this weapon going to be any better here? Let me put it in. It goes down to 368, okay? So this is how you can tell if your weapon's a little bit better. It doesn't calculate everything. There are some other considerations like leech and stuff like that. Incidentally, this was a really nice item I found. I didn't have to craft it or anything. This doesn't have many sockets. Also, you'll see here too, if I take off the weapon here, you'll notice how many modifiers there are, like bleed and whatever. You might have shock and freeze or poison or some other chaos attack with your spell you're looking at, your main attack spell. You'll notice if you take off an item, the number of modifiers will change, meaning that there's some modifiers that they're implicitly zero unless you see them. Okay, so chance to bleed is, if it's not listed here, right now, okay, it says 49% chance to bleed, but there are some modifiers that only appear here when I put the item there. It looks like my critical strike chance is essentially zero. So if you're like, what's my critical strike chance? If it's not listed there, it's zero. So you put it in here, and now it goes up to, it's here somewhere, there it is, 5% with this item here, okay? So that's how you do your A/B testing if you want to maximize DPS and maximize toughness. Take advantage of this. We'll go into some other tools later in the series to maximize your DPS and toughness, but for now, this is a great way to assess upgrades as you go. One last thing before we get into crafting here. If you're playing a season, which you probably are, because you'd be crazy not to, but while leveling up, try to do as much seasonal content as you can. Go to Path of Exile's website. Here we're doing some Keepers of the Flame stuff here. And I won't get into it because odds are you're going to be watching this in the future, and this will be a league that a mechanic you're not going to even have to see. But go to the website and it'll explain what the current mechanic is. My first season trying this, I didn't know what the season mechanic was because I didn't know what a normal mechanic was to begin with. So that's how you can tell what's just been introduced versus what's been around for years. So, and it's usually very lucrative in terms of XP and rewards. In 3 seasons doing this, I'd say doing the seasonal content is probably among the more rewarding things as you level up. And plus, it's just more interesting to me, at least, because it's different. So without further ado, let's get into crafting here. Okay, I'm going to go to my hideout right off the bat because I want to show you something. Maybe you've unlocked your hideout. I unlocked mine. I've got this special one here. I've laid it out a certain way. I've got Helena here. She's like a vendor in the hideout. I've got a crafting bench and I got my stash, and I like to keep them all together so I can do things nice and efficiently. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do one more thing before we go into this here because I want to point out something. For all the things we're about to craft here, be sure to visit the vendors, okay? I'll say in Act 3, you want, like, Hargan has a bunch of interesting items. What you're looking for is non-magic items that have magic or full sockets, preferably all linked. Because when you do crafting, you want to have a good base item, okay? So if you didn't find any during your leveling that had lots of sockets and linked, this would be the time to get one, okay? So I don't know if I found any items here. Maybe the spectral axe I got from it doesn't have many links, or enough sockets, but I'm playing solo self-found, so I kind of had only so much time to find some gear worth crafting here that this isn't perfect, okay? If you're in a trade league, it's much easier to get things, but check out your vendors. And also, remember, each act always check each vendor and each tab. Like, this is the 3rd vendor by now you will have come across that sells more gems. So you'll see more and more gems unlock as you level up. And some of these are going to be very essential for your final build. So just be aware of that. So if you want to get items, that's the place you go to. But without further ado, let's go back to the hideout here. And I want to sort of go over the basics here of crafting. So in Path of Exile, everything can be crafted. You can craft weapons, you can craft armor, you can craft flasks, you can craft, you can do gem modifications. Any little thing you see here, gems, everything, can be crafted. Each item has prefixes and suffixes on them. If you hit Alt, you'll see specifically what a prefix and a suffix is on an item. Okay, so every item you have, like this here, this was just a really lucky drop for me because this has 3 suffixes and 3 prefixes. I didn't have to do anything on this weapon, and they're all pretty good ones for the level that it dropped at. I've been using this axe for quite a while. Okay, so the goal is to have 3 good prefixes and 3 good suffixes on your item. Okay, you'll notice too there's an item level on it too. This is item level 30. And you'll notice there's different tiers of the prefixes and suffixes on the item. Okay, there's also a quality to the item. Most things are 0, but some of them do have built-in quality on them. So I'm just looking here. I don't have anything with above 0 quality, but we'll get into that later. Now, you might have noticed a few items with higher quality, and that has it does actually boost some stats for some items, higher quality items, especially gems, but it also allows for socketed items to roll a higher probability of linked sockets later. So this is the kind of things quality does. Long story short is you want quality on your gear, so it's kind of useful. Okay, so yeah, you'll notice the level, the tiers, prefixes, suffixes, and there's also a thing called implicits and explicits. Okay, of the items you see here, let me see if I can find one that has, okay, this has an implicit on it. You see where it says 16% cold and lightning resistances? That's an implicit. Okay, if I hold over it, you see now it says implicit modifier. We're not going to be dealing with implicits early on. Okay, that's for later on. When you get to more advanced crafting, there's ways of, all the pros will put implicits. We're just doing some leveling up crafting here. We're not going to be going that thorough to get implicits. We just want to have basically good items for really cheap because these are your leveling items. But the implicit stat is the stat at the top. The explicit stats, the prefixes and suffixes, up to 3 on most items are at the bottom. You can corrupt things and there's ways of getting really unusual stuff in the game, but we're not going to, this is just basic crafting. I want to make a couple of good items here, and we'll, see what we can do in terms of upgrading our gear as we level up. So when you do your crafting, you need a website that's really handy here. Craft of Exile. Okay, so everyone who plays a Path of Exile at some point is going to have this bookmark, Craft of Exile. So what it does is it basically lets you see what kind of prefixes and suffixes you can put on your gear. So for example here, what we're going to do is I'm going to craft some boots, okay? It's of the items that are in my inventory worth crafting, I'm going to go with boots. So the first thing you do is, it's like an interview process. You select the things you're interested in crafting first. So start with boots. I happen to be a strength class here, so I'm going to go with strength boots. And then, I wish I would have known this right off the bat earlier, but you got to click item here, and then it brings up the type of boots you're looking to craft. I wish it would kind of automatically do that because, what else am I going to do at this next step? So maybe if they wanted to improve that a little bit, but until then, you got to click the item, and then it shows you the boots. Little side note here, if you're wondering what the level requirements, the item levels are, and the stats are on various items for your class, hover over them, okay? Because then later on, you'll know what the best craft bases are. You want the higher, the better. Like, you're not going to know initially whether steel greaves or antique greaves are lower level or higher level just by the name. So this is where you gain a bit of information. And later on, when you're looking for certain items, perhaps you'll be using a loot filter. Maybe next week we'll go over that. But the idea is, and this is especially handy with weapons as well, to see what kind of stats, like you can just hover over it to see what they have built into it. So it's a good way of discovering some things. So here what we're using is reinforced greaves, okay? So we'll select that. This is the item I want to craft, is these reinforced greaves. So this is a bit of an example and a bit of a, a walkthrough of how Craft of Exile works. I want to create some fast boots, okay? So in this case, like you can actually comb through all the prefixes and suffixes here. On the left side here, you have all your prefixes. On the right side, you have all your suffixes. You can have up to 3 of them, okay? You'll notice too here, this is really big. This is why I zoomed in a lot, is you got this 1 and 2 and 3. You got 1, 2, 3. And some roles that you can have in prefixes and affixes share the same tier. So this is, 1, 2, and 3 here, but let's see if we can find some more 1, 2s, and 3s as we scroll down. Okay, right here. So let's say you wanted to have this thing crafted later. We won't go into this in this episode, but this is the sort of the slot. This is slot 2, okay? You cannot therefore have this modifier combined with this modifier. Speed and that one, it's one or the other because they're both in 2. When you're crafting, just bear that in mind. You can't get certain combinations because of this rule, okay? So kind of important to know. You'll also notice too, if you click on these, you can expand sub options. You'll notice the eye level. The boots we have here, I believe, are level 33. So the most I can roll is tier 6, 4, 5, or 6. Okay, 1, the 15, or the 30. This is the odds of it. And as mentioned earlier, you want to go with the lower number tier. Like tier 1 is the best. The more stuff you have that's closer to tier 1, the better. Just tab over here. And the thing we're going to modify are these boots here. But before we do, I want to have a bit of an interlude. Again, this is Dump City. Don't just do game content. I do other commentary. What's the commentary for this week's episode? It's about what a salesman really has to offer. You'll notice I did a cheesy intro of self-promotion. I was thinking, you know what? The topic is what a salesman really offers. If you think about it, people who make things, people who invent things, they just all put it in the store and you just showed up. And they just had all the stuff that you would need right away available. You wouldn't need salespeople. You wouldn't need any kind of salesperson if people had perfect knowledge of things. So the question is, why do we pay salespeople money if they're not really needed, if the stuff you need doesn't require that middleman, so to speak? But I was doing some thinking on what a salesman really has to offer. They offer you 2 things if you think about it. One of them is condensed time. They studied a little bit more, so they'll have an expertise in the background of something you don't have. Now, if you have that background, yeah, they're of no use to you. They should just be taxed higher. But another thing salespeople offer is a pleasant demeanor and happiness. That is kind of what salesmanship's all about, is they sell attitude. So what does a salesman offer? A positive attitude and condensed information, if you think about it. Anyways, that's random topic. Okay, back to it. Let's actually do some crafting here. In terms of the items I've found that I want to craft, you'll notice that this has 1 socket. This has 4 sockets, but it's requires level 15, so it's kind of doesn't have the best armor evasion rating on it. So it's not really great either. This here, 2 sockets, kind of sucks. The only thing that I found that was actually worth crafting were these boots, because it has 4 linked sockets and it's close to my level. So as you're leveling, bit of a pro tip here, you'll get these essences that you'll notice it says required to use by level 45. Here required to use by level 35. Do not save these things. I know you can combine them and upgrade them later, but the problem is as you level up, the item levels that drop are also higher. So for you to find the combining level 35 one to upgrade this is going to get less and less probable. So my advice is to just get rid of all your level 35 and 45 essences around level 35 to 45 and just see what happens. Now, since the items, 3 of these items I want to craft here are kind of crap, I'm not going to bother doing anything special with them in order to improve them in advance because I basically want to see what the stats are first. Okay, I have a pretty good weapon here. I'm not going to use these weapons, but if it rolls a really nice yellow stats or rare stats, it will create a rare out of these. Okay, you'll notice they have to be non-magic. Okay, can't be blue, can't be yellow for the lower tier ones. The higher tier essences, it's okay if they're already rare. Okay, but the lower tier ones, they have to be non-magic. So this essence of fear here is completely useless for my build right now, and this weapon kind of sucks. So what I do is I right click on it here and see what I get. Okay, I'm looking at the stats of that, and I can tell you instantly what I'm going to do with that. See this here? I got this vendor in my hideout. This is just utter crap. So this is what you do. Okay, I was hoping to get something better, but I didn't. Okay, we'll do another one over here. Let's see if we get a good weapon. Get some good stats. Ooh, got some physical damage on there and the life leech from it. I'll think about this one. Okay, I'm not sure about it. We'll put this aside here. You'll notice here I have a few items for later. I'm going to do the same process with a few other items that were middling, okay, with these low-level tiers. And this is, honestly, I don't think any guide is going to tell you this. This is real, and this is kind of important because you got to empty your bags all the time, is these level 35 and 45 essences, get rid of them as you're leveling. They're just going to be stuck in your bags forever, and you're always going to be looking at them. Have none of them by the time you're level 60, okay? So I'm going to do that, and then at the end of the show, we're going to do some roll for Mage Blood, okay? As you know, as was described in a previous episode. Okay, so let's get back to it. That was an interesting item. Let's see if we can get some. This has a nice number of sockets. Just the level is not great. The only thing I might add later is perhaps linked sockets. But let's just see if we can get some good gloves out of this here. The attack speed's not bad. You know what? That's got life on it too. I wish I would have upgraded the quality before I did that one. Oh well. Well, we'll see how that one works. These might be further upgradable later. But what I really want to do here, the main event, is I want to craft these boots. So this is the only item that dropped that I think is kind of worthwhile in terms of a serious upgrade here. You'll notice I don't even have boots on right now because boots are kind of not the greatest. Okay, so what we'll do here is the first thing you usually do is when you're upgrading armor or you're crafting an armor item is normally you'd do this even before the essences, but I didn't want to waste these armor scraps. Again, don't be spending or crafting materials excessively between level 35 and 50, okay? You're still stockpiling them. I'm just spending a few here for one item, essentially. So what I'm going to do is I upgrade the quality. You see that? It goes up like this. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let's go with quality 18. That's a decent deal. Actually, that seems higher than it used to be. I guess they buffed that a little bit, okay? What I also want to do then is I'm going to use one of these here to make it into a magic item. Let's see how good it becomes if it's magic. Let's see what kind of stats we get here. Yoink. Okay, that kind of sucks, the roll on it. But what we could do is we can then... Okay, so what we just used was an Orb of Transmutation. You've probably seen that, normal item to magic item. But then there's Orb of Alteration. So we'll spam this until we get some kind of interesting stat. I'm looking for... These are boots, okay? I want to see speed on some boots, okay? We're doing a really interesting craft here, okay? We're not just... No. These are, like, if you got a bunch of these Orbs of Alteration, which you probably do. Okay, there we go. That's the one we wanted. Okay, now if I hold over it, what is this? We got one prefix and one suffix. Okay, so I can't use an Orb of Augmentation on it, because we got them already, but I had them here just in case. So there is another recipe here where if I take these boots and I sell them, and I include a Quicksilver flask, and I include an Orb of Augmentation, let me just check here. See, we get 25% movement speed on these boots. So that's much better than before. Mind you, do I lose the sockets? I don't know. I don't think I lose the sockets. Maybe I do. Maybe this is the lesson here that looks like I might lose the sockets here. So I don't know if I'm going to do that just yet. Oh, these are the 4 link sockets. You know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to save the Quicksilver Flask because I'm not sure if I lose the sockets. Maybe that's a lesson to you that it might re-roll the sockets too. I thought it preserved the sockets, but I guess it doesn't. Or at least it looks like there's a chance it won't. Because I really like these for the strength, and I like it for the increased movement speed. And I'm just generally cheap here. I'm saving these flasks for real crafting later. Okay? I wanted to do that. We could have got a little bit faster, but I don't want to lose these sockets. I don't want to lose that 26 strength roll. So the next thing I'm going to do here is a Regal Orb, and we're going to make this into a rare item. Okay, so this has 2 great stats, but this will add some more stats to it. Here we go. Oh, we only got 1. Well, Chaos Resistance isn't a bad roll. Okay, whatever. So the final thing you do when you craft these things, this wasn't as great as I had hoped, but is you go to your crafting bench, which you would have unlocked by now. And again, these recipes that you see here, like if you're missing a recipe, if we expand it here, it tells you where you can find them, just an FYI. So you're like, I want the all resistances rank 2, right? You got to go, it's in the labyrinth trial in the tunnel. Okay, so it tells you where you get them. But right now, this is an armor item. So what I'm going to do is I could add some armor to it, which I might. And I have a lot of these orbs of transmutation, so I might just consume a bunch of these. I'm thinking the best value here would be, let's go with armor and evasion. See how that works. It seems like I don't get how increasing armor costs 4 of these. Sorry, 26 to 35% increased armor costs this. And it costs the same for 26 to 35 of armor and evasion. So why wouldn't you take both? Okay, because then if you had, like, it just seems like you would always want to go with this because this is a superset. It does essentially the same thing. I don't see any risk to it. So I'm going to just go with that. Let's go with armor. There we go. So 181 armor on my new boots. There you go. Not the best stats. It is fast though. I'm not going to complain that much. Everything there is useful. There's no useless rolls. So there you go. Those are some new boots. A few other things you can craft. You can craft flasks. Let's do one real quick here. So we're going to add, we'll have to grab ourselves some more of this crafting material here. We got so many orbs of transmutation. So we're going to upgrade this Sacred Life Flask because my class can use these. We'll make this into magic. Okay, oh wow, look at that. That's a lot of life. And it removes curses. Let me hold over this. Okay, I was going to re-roll that, but you know what? I got a nice one right off the bat there. So no luck with, or not the greatest of luck with the boots, but a very nice luck with this dizzying Sacred Life Flask of Warding. Okay, you can also upgrade some things like, I could have upgraded the quality of that flask, but I only have 1 of these and I don't want to waste it. Again, this is our intermediate mid-season upgrade, crafting. So we're not going to be going crazy in terms of spending our valuable resources. We're supposed to be stockpiled. Same with gems. You can add quality to a gem. Just an FYI, like if I take this gem here and I hold Alt over it, you see the additional effects from quality. So this is why you would add quality to gems. This one might actually be worth doing, but I don't know if I'm going to be keeping this gem for ever. It happened to fall. But gem cutters prisms, and especially in solo self-bound, you don't want to be wasting these. So that's what you do. You put this stuff all away. You don't want to be spending any of this. A few other things. You can always use chromatic orbs to change the colors. Again, if you have huge amounts of these things, which I don't, and you need certain colors, that's the other thing about these boots. They're all nice colors, so I didn't have to spend any of that. So try not to spend anything too early. We don't want to be wasting more armor scrap. In terms of weapons, adds quality to a weapon. So if I would have been doing this with a weapon, I would have first increased the quality with a sharpening stone. So I have a bunch of those, but I only have 9 found to date. Number of sockets. Again, I don't want any level 40 stuff. Don't want to be wasting jeweler's orbs on them, so I put it back in my stash. And then, of course, and this, again, it says right on here, I believe. Yeah, it says the item's quality increases the chance of obtaining more links. So this is another reason why you, on a serious craft later on, like maybe you're level 60 and you're like, okay, I want to do a really good wand or something. Use the sharpening stone to increase it to higher quality, and then you have to use less orbs of fusing to RNG link them. Okay, but we're going to save all those here. So I think that's basically the basic crafting rules that you need. So yeah, I've got some gems I got to put back in my gear here, and I'm going to kill the Act 3 boss, and I'll see you there. Okay, we're here near the Act 3 boss. I'm about to enter the zone. Before I do though, a few things. The items we crafted earlier, remember that spectral axe and that spiked shield I was telling you about, I would throw some essences on. Turns out it's not bad as a backup weapon, so I put it in my, you hit X and you can toggle your weapon type. So it's not a bad one here. This has some nice abilities on the shield here. Not really going to use it, but the interesting thing that happened was that shadow axe that I threw an essence on earlier, get some more sockets, and then I threw one link on it and they all linked up, and it just happened to be higher DPS than the axe I had before, so I was kind of lucky. I actually found another shadow axe in the minutes after I did this though, which was actually a higher quality and it had 4 links. I could have used a granite flask to actually make it better, but whatever. This is good enough for leveling. I don't want to be spending too many resources in making other shadow axes at level 40. So we're near the Act 3 boss here. Just a bit of a tip. Once you get to the tower rooftop here, set up a portal scroll just in case you die, because from what I understand, you can't get in and out, and you have to go up quite a few more levels to get here. A few other things too. Earlier when I was saying I'm concerned about re-rolling these boots and having the lost link sockets, I did a double check here on the vendor recipe website. Again, that's linked in the first episode. I won't re-link the same websites each episode, so but then if you've been following the series, you should have that bookmarked by now. This would have been preserved. However, I was doing a double check on that, and I rolled near the best and like the best possible strength roll on it, so that would have been lost. Okay, so I think it's better I just keep these. I'm a little bit slower than I would have been, but I have more strength. Reasonable trade-off. I saved a quicksilver flask, so that's good. And before we go in there, of course, we must always do this. We'll see if we can get some mage bloods here. Let's just throw a bunch on here. Let's see what we get here with our orbs of chance. Oh, no mage blood. Oh, well. Better luck next time. And one other thing, too. When we were crafting the flasks, there's a thing called an instilling orb, which can trigger the activation of the flask. You might not have any of those yet, but just keep that in mind when you're doing real flasks later. Right now, I'm not going to waste any instilling orbs on these kind of flasks because they're too low level. We'll do a serious flask crafting episode later because that's actually a big part about building a good character later. So for now, we're just going to keep that off. I'm just going to use whatever I've basically found. Hardly invested anything in this. You know, still using fireballs as part of my attack. And we'll see if we can go kill this Act 3 boss here. If I recall, this one's kind of tough. I might die. If I do die, I don't think I'm going to spend too much time on this, embarrassing myself. This is definitely going to be a little bit challenging here. We'll see how well this does here. Make sure I get all the things. Activate my Vaal Fireball right away. I started up here. Let's see how well this does. I think you have to kill a few of these guys first before the real guy comes out. We'll see. Let's see how strong they are. I haven't even leveled up my gem, this new Sunder gem I got. There's a guy called Dominus around here. Let's see where he shows up. Oh, there we go. These guys seem pretty easy with my OP Marauder. Do some fireball attack, of course. We'll see. Oh, there's some elites here we got to kill. Not too challenging yet. Oh, here we go. There's another guy. It's a bit of a marathon fight here. I'm a little bit better geared than before, even though I'm doing this silly... get rid of the Vaal... Here we go. I gotta do Vaal Fireball. Maybe not the most common. It is much nicer later when you automate your flasks, because you don't have to be... Okay, now we got to kill the boss here. Here we go. This guy's probably going to be really tough. Here we go. Oh. Let's see how good he is. No, we got a Vaal... Oh, look at that. He's going to get hit with Vaal Fireball, of course. Oh, probably don't want to stand near that. Oh, got to get on the other side of this guy here. Use a life flask. Increase my defensiveness here a bit. Oh. Using shift attack here. Let's see if we can hit him from here. See if we can get him to bleed. Oh, there we go. Some shift attack. Oh, did he get away? Oh, he... No, there might be another phase to him or something. It's a little harder to talk. As the bosses get tougher, you gotta, you know, focus a little bit more. Definitely don't be recording a YouTube video while you're fighting bosses. Very difficult. Especially, like, oh, okay, this guy is tough. I recall something about him being tough. Oh, gotta get this here. Gotta activate all my Vaal Fireball going. Get some stacks here. I don't know if I'm supposed to stand in or out of this. I just know I gotta stack some bleeds on him. Not that I'm using bleed, I'm using Fireball. Oh, I'm out of life here. Like, hopefully this does it. I got a bunch of bleed on him. This is gonna build Vaal Fireball for the win. There you go. All right, so there you go. That's basically crafting, basic crafting. Not going to say this is an expert's guide. We'll do some more stuff later. We'll get more in depth in terms of mechanics. We'll do some implicits. This is just the mid-level crafting. Again, spend as little as you can when you're actually doing this. You don't want to be out of, you know, ways to increase the quality of your items. You don't want to be out of instilling orbs when you get to higher levels. And yeah, if you're having difficulties too, be sure to check for YouTube videos on guides to your build. That will help you a lot. My first episode, I just modeled after looking at other characters that were actually good, and I've just sort of copied their gems and their passives a little bit here. I put very little effort into doing this correctly, but we are, as we level up and get to more and more difficult content, we're going to have to be more careful with our skills and our gear. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next week.